Today I have Blake Robles. I actually coach Blake. He was my scout team quarterback my first year as a graduate assistant when we were ripping off plays as fast as we could in the double scout huddle. Blake was with me in 2010 and 11, and then I left to go to Rose-Hulman. So, Blake, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit more?
Yeah, it's always good to see you, Coach. From there, did some things at Ottawa and then went to Eureka College, played there, finished my career there, and then overseas. My coaching career has been very good. I started off in Clarion University in Pennsylvania, Division II school up there in the PSAC. My first year there, I was quarterbacks coach and a student assistant almost, so they didn't have graduate assistants set up there. So it was similar to what a GA would do. And then my second year, I transitioned to running backs. And then from there, I got down here as a GA again at Shorter University. My first year, I was working with running backs. And then in the off season, there was promoted to full-time quarterbacks coach and did that last year. And now going into my second season as quarterbacks coach.
Now, I know with everything going on right now, you probably had an opportunity to check out a lot of NFL film, college film, go into a lot of Zoom sessions. What is one trend you think that defenses will have to get ready for next year from what you're hearing from everyone out there, all the good offensive coaches?
Yep. I think everyone's going to watch LSU's tape and has. Looking at some things, what they did, a lot of people have been reading the safety for the glance route. I think offenses are going to take a look at how to decorate that, different ways, different runs they can get to match with that. LSU did a really good job of throwing that this year. And I think duo is going to be the run play that's really going to catch everybody's eye, and they're going to want to run it. And with this pandemic hitting, it's going to give people time to kind of get versed up to it. Coaches are, people of comfort, and, they want to be comfortable with what they're going to put into their offense if it's new. I think that this time frame allowed for that. So I think a lot of people are going to be doing duo. We had some experience, we ran it at Clarion when I was there. I think people like it a lot because it's essentially, it's not an RPO, but it's the same thing you're doing with an RPO with the linebacker, but now you're doing it with the running back. And so it's just a different way, and a thing that defenses will have to prepare for as another guy reading them. And then I think for sure the under center jet sweep stuff is still going to be prevalent. I know, the Rams made it really popular. But I think teams will try to, you've seen some spread teams kind of get in under center and do some of that this year. It really helps out the zone, the running game. And then if you look at even before the Rams kind of made it popular, Mike Riley, when he was out at Oregon State with, Cooks, they used to do that a lot, have an explosive pass game to go along with it. So I think, some of those spread teams that are always looking for the, explosive pass plays as well, are going to kind of marry that up and have their under center play action game. And those are, things that I think people are going to do.
So the fans have wanted a little insight into your mind a little bit. So we have a little scenario, a team A and a team B scenario, and what team you would rather face. So team A, both of them are really good. They got a chance to win the SEC. But team A is going to have a lot of different fronts, run a lot of different movements. But they're going to be really good probably in a one high structure, and you're going to know that they're playing either a cover one or a cover three every snap. Team B is going to play a four down front. You're going to know where the three technique is. You're going to know where the 2-eye is on every single play by whatever formation you're in. But they're going to play cover one, cover three, cover four, cover two, and some non-traditional coverages to make it tough on the quarterbacks and the receivers. So in your mind, what team would you rather play and why?
I would much rather play a team that does multiple fronts. I understand it can make some things difficult for run game and pass protection with blitz recognition. But always as a player, for sure, and, with quarterbacks especially, they can get uncomfortable if they're not really knowing what they're looking at. When they're playing a lot more coverages and, definitely rotating late is a big thing there too. You lose kind of that comfort. And then drop back passes help with that because now you have time to diagnose what coverage you're getting off of that beyond your pre-snap look. And, like I said, I always felt that, in coaching it, you want to keep the quarterback as comfortable as you can. And you want to develop them to understand what they're getting up front and what the different fronts mean. I think in, zone running scheme can kind of help you out if a team's mixing up the fronts a lot, more so to, you're going to take your zone steps. You have your rules about who you work for, and gap scheme should be good on it as well. So it's just one of those things. It'll be a lot more communication up front if they're doing multiple fronts, but I think it's more difficult to face a team that's doing a lot different coverages because you don't really know what you're going to get. Coaches are calling off tendencies a lot. You're for the run game, you're looking at tendencies up front a lot too to know what you want to call, but for down distances and stuff like that, you really want to know what coverages you're getting for the pass game. So I would much rather see a multiple front team and, like I said, multiple coverages is going to give you an issue.
So I would be safe to say a team that's really good at multiple fronts and good at multiple coverages are probably pretty tough.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, you want to be able to prepare for something. Those teams that you don't know what they're going to do, those are always the toughest to prepare for. And, you're sitting in those meetings and, if they got 60 different coverages they've run or something, it's very difficult to give you guys something to aim at.
Awesome. So my next question is, what is one thing that you'll look at on film? Obviously, I know you're a quarterback guy, played the position. Is there something that you have found from that quarterback lens as a former player that you can watch film that kind of helps you out and helps you out as a coach now? Or is there something that you've just picked up as a coach that you can really get your guys that great information?
Yeah. As a coach, I've picked up that identifying kind of how they're going to play personnel is a big deal. The way we do our breakdown here and scouting each opponent each week is really good. It sets up so that you really get the answers you need for each, formation and personnel. And the thing I like about that is that you can find some explosive plays and things you've seen maybe only once or twice, but you can find a weakness in what they've done in those one or two plays from that. So really using kind of personnel is what I would look at. And as a coach, checking out the young players on the other team as far as, if they got an inexperienced player, those guys will usually kind of tip what's going to go on as far as that goes. So find the young players and, they'll usually be, if it's their first career start, they're not going to be necessarily holding a lot of, coverages shell-wise or, not lining up near their assignment.
So I know obviously at Ottawa you played in a little bit of a tempo with Coach Kessinger's scheme, and that was kind of cutting edge, I think, at the time, just how fast they were going versus maybe some other teams that we were facing, at least in the KCAC. What are your tempo thoughts, and what do you like and not like?
Yeah, I love it. Like you said, K was my first experience with a real high up-tempo offense, and we did a lot of good things there. I love that, tempo is trying to create more plays, which is more opportunities ultimately to score. I have no problem with that philosophy. I know sometimes the worry is if you're going 3 and out on tempo, you're turning the ball over within 20 seconds and stuff. And, I understand that completely. But you don't want to go 3 and out on any offense. If you're doing it in a huddle offense, you don't want to be sitting there 3 minutes to go till the second quarter and you've run 12 plays and everybody's upset because it's boring. And, so no matter the offense, you want to have success and coach it up that way. And I think Kay definitely taught me that, and I learned that there because we had a lot of success doing it. I think you do need to vary your tempo. And if you want to go fast consistently, be smart with it. And, you'll have to obviously communicate that through. I do think, a big thing that it does do is it eases the play calling. You think about it, when you come and you break and you go into a huddle, the defense has time to kind of understand their tendencies a little bit more, just like you're trying to. So you don't have to be as good of a play caller, in my opinion, or on top of your game necessarily if you're going tempo, because you're kind of setting up quick and things are happening more natural. You're rolling more with momentum too. So it was, one of the big things. I played in multiple offenses, tempo, speed wise, and, none were as fast as Ottawa's. And one thing I did feel is when you come off of a big play and now you got to huddle up again, sometimes it's cool just to roll with it. You've seen the Michael Jordan documentary where, they didn't call timeout to set up a play on the sideline there. They just went with it. And so that's another benefit I think that it brings to you. I think a big thing it helps in the pass game wise is it eliminates defenses that can hold their shell till late, which really does mess with people. And obviously defenses can combat a quick offense with, still sending in their blitz calls and stuff like that, maybe having multiple signalers and all that stuff. But I think it does simplify things if you can go really fast. One of the things we did there that I really liked was, we do our normal fast tempo, and then we'd go like extremely fast for like a couple weeks, and we'd, rep it in practice, and it was, using the old board things, and you could get off like 6 or 7 plays in a row, and I mean it was ridiculously fast. So I'm a believer in it. I do think you need to be able to, change pace and vary your tempo, just to help out, and obviously doing it after getting first downs is good, so that you're not running into those situations 3 and out and you've only used 27 seconds. But it does a lot for a play caller, for an offense, and the players too. Creates opportunities.
Yeah, defense, they can have, obviously tempo's a problem, but defense can have their own tempo. They have the tempo where they play at the offensive speed, or they fake an injury and slow the offense down a little bit. So obviously that's something that it doesn't really affect us too much, just because we see it in practice. So we're really prepared. No one's going to really go as fast as what our offense does in practice in a game anyway. So we're not shocked by it. We're more shocked when we see a team that huddles up and we're like, man, this is taking forever for them to get out of the huddle. What is one factor when determining a pass play that you'll carry into a game? And this obviously is probably not your top pass play that you're going to feature every week, but maybe your 5th or 6th pass that you want a certain look, and maybe that's the factor, the certain look. But what is one factor to when determining, whether you're going to carry that play into a game or not?
Yeah. Definitely one thing I've learned in my coaching playing experience and mentors I've had is the quarterback's comfort with it. Ultimately, you're not going to scratch 3/4 of your pass play if, the QB's not comfortable with them, but you work with them, you constantly keep them in the loop on the plays and get their feeling for it and see how it does execute at practice that week, especially. One of my mentors, Steve DeBerg, I always would run stuff by him. Off of his playing experience so long in the league and training quarterbacks in the league. And he said, the number one thing is he learned was, you could come up with the greatest play ever. Ultimately, if the QB's not comfortable with it, 90+% of the time, it just doesn't work. And, Bruce Arians talks about that in his book too, have a meeting with the quarterbacks, and if it's a play he thinks just has to be in, he may overrule them. But in general, if they're not feeling it, he usually doesn't go with it for that game. And that's something we do here. We let them we talk to them throughout the week and stuff like that. And, a good example is, my favorite play ever. It's from Ottawa. It's unstoppable, if executed correctly, obviously. But, it's something, the teammates from that time, we always get together and still talk about it. Hey, you running it? Yeah, of course. And so we run it here, and, it's great. But I've coached quarterbacks that aren't as comfortable with it, and ultimately it doesn't have some of the success because of that. And so you understand that's just a play, and those things you develop in the off season, spring, you get extra reps at anytime in between. When special teams is going on, go over there and work on some plays that they're not comfortable with, or things to do that. But the quarterback and their comfort is definitely a determining factor, especially a play that's usually, like you said, maybe your sixth or fifth best play, to find out how well they execute it.
My next question kind of plays off that a little bit is, what is the general sense of the types of reads a quarterback will bring into, you bring into a game, or maybe a quarterback can handle, whether it's a progression read, a best look read, hey, we're reading the mic, he does this, we do that. Is it a 1 high, 2 high? What do you think a quarterback can handle within a game?
Yeah. I think schematically, it changes it schematically depending on what you're trying to do. For your basic drop back pass plays or quick game, it's a 1 high, 2 high type of thing for me. I always try and get the quarterbacks to identify coverages specifically that way, because certain coverages are similar. So there's going to be guys, especially in zone, that are going to be playing the same zones they would be, even if it's 2 high or 1 high. You gotta teach them specific coverages that'll go along, and that'll help them in their reads and progressions. I think in the RPO game, you can do player specific. You're reading this guy, and then I've been at Clarion, we did a lot of RPOs, and we'd marry up some drop back concepts with them, and you'd have a run read and a pass read, so it goes from boom to boom, pretty much the players and who you're reading. So I think it differs. I think RPO, you kind of go looking at players specifically wise, and then drop back, always want to identify that the center of the field there and what you're getting.
My last question for you is, what is your favorite run scheme?
That's a good one. So I would say creature of comfort. I love mid zone. All the playbooks in college I played in, and my first one coaching mid zone was the number one play. It was your basic run play that you worked your RPOs off of. So I like mid zone because it gives you your true, bounce, bang, and cut back, as opposed to inside zones trying to hit inside, outside zones trying to hit outside, and you have your reads and adjustments off of that. But mid zone, I feel if the zones gives you an opportunity to be more explosive. For RPOs, inside zones going more downhill, I feel like it gives you more pull on those backers or nickel defenders, and it doesn't sacrifice your line of scrimmage, because you still want to be a little bit firm and not lose as much ground as you do on, say, an outside zone, depending on how you teach your outside zone steps. So I love mid zone. It has a lot of benefits. My favorite, though, and we ran it a lot at Clarion, is pin and pull. I think you can decorate it, do a lot of cool stuff. I think Q run game wise, it allows you to, be creative, in motioning guys down and using backs in the backfield then to kind of be that second puller, third puller type of deal. So that would be my actual favorite. I just haven't been in somewhere that had been a pin and pull heavy team. We did it some at both stops and stuff like that. But, I think that's why I go with mid zone, because it's a creature of comfort type of thing.
Now, I got one question, I guess, off that. Have you been to a place or played, I guess, that had an inside zone, a mid zone, and an outside zone? Or do you generally see that a team's just going to, if they're going to carry two of those, or like they're just going to carry two? Or do you think, or have you been to a place that carries all three?
Yep. My first stop, we carried all three at Clarion. Ottawa, we carried everything. I mean, I don't know if you ever seen that playbook. It had everything, everything in it. We carried all three there. Eureka, we were mid zone. I think we did a little bit inside, but we did outside as well. And then here we were initially more inside and outside, and have worked mid zone into it these past years. But yeah, I've been places that carried all three. I've been places that only knew mid and outside, and so it's different for sure. And like I said, it's cool. You get the experience a lot of different schemes and hear different people's opinions on things, and it's one of the best things about the profession.
Well, as far as a defense goes, it is definitely hard to identify sometimes the difference between mid and inside zone. For us, we just consider a inside or mid zone a zone play now because, man, you could be running mid zone and my 3 technique penetrated upfield and you're cutting the A gap. It's hard for a defense to know that wasn't inside zone. So I had a lot of young coaches be like, man, what's going on? And I'm like, at the end of the day, we're a one gap defense. Like, they're going to run it in the A or the B gap. They're generally going to run it to the open gap. They're not going to run it right into a D lineman. So we'll go from there. So I don't freak out too much about it. But I know there's a lot of defensive coaches that, are trying to figure out whether it's mid or inside zone. Obviously, outside zone, you can tell it a little bit apart. Obviously, teams are running duo now. So
yeah,
is it inside zone? Is it duo?
Yeah.
The ball's, the running back's going to go where an open hole is. And if he doesn't, he's not a very good running back. So my last thing I got for you is, can you just talk about Shorter a little bit in the areas you recruit?
Yeah, definitely. So we're in Rome, Georgia, hour north of Atlanta in the Gulf South Conference. Last 2 national champions have come from this conference, so it's a strong level of football. My recruiting territories, I'm responsible and oversee all of Florida recruiting. I'm responsible, my actual territories are Southwest Georgia. I have Tallahassee, pretty much the whole northern part of the state, and then into Jacksonville all the way to like St. Augustine area. And I'll get into Tampa as well. So that's my hometown area. So those are my territories. Shorter, we got a good thing going here. My room, very excited to get to work with it. Got a lot of talented quarterbacks in there, and ones that can, do the things we kind of talked about, and being able to, run their own stuff and develop that way. So open group, pumped up about the season as well. I know this has given me time to develop as a coach. Spoke with a lot of good coordinators and coaching friends as well. You're included in that, of course. But I think it's given me time to develop, and I think we're going to accomplish some good things here this year.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. It's always a great chance to catch up with you. I think you're doing a great job. You're working your butt off. Keep up the good work. You got anything else for the people?
No, man, I'm glad you're bringing on all the Ottawa people and doing this. This is a big thing. It really helps people out, and people learn. I was watching a little bit of Beaches from yesterday, and he helped me develop a lot as my quarterback coach there at Ottawa. So it's one of those things you kind of learn from people. You continue to grow and develop, and like I said, I try and incorporate a lot of those things that I learned from that organization and program, and I think he taught me, and obviously with you there as well when we were working together my freshman year.